Hey everybody, welcome to the Purpose People podcast. Today we're meeting Tieran from Creativ Moves, so welcome.
Thank you for having me, Daryl.
So we got you on the sofa and there's some exciting news that you have because you there's a lot of stuff happening, but
Yes.
you just come out of a process of a rebrand.
Yes.
And you were formerly known New Creative and now you're Creativ Moves. So tell us why.
Yeah. So we've gone through a changing point in business where we were formerly known as All New Creative. And we just wanted to kind of use different skills we have already and apply it into the business that we're moving into today.
Mm-hmm.
And we decided to call our company Creativ Moves because Diana being a professional dancer, me being into things like other creative angles and also running as well, we wanted to apply or put together innovation and movement together. And that's where the angle of Creativ Moves came in. And since by doing that, we started to get more conversations around it. We're very excited about relaunching and also actually sharing that story of us also going into France as well. And yeah, that's kind of how we've come up with it.
Yeah, because we're going to hear from Diana a bit later. So we kind of like got you first, and then we got Diana, and we hear her side of the story. But so just tell us a little bit about, in terms of how you got into the creative world and in terms of your creative background that's got you to this point. So how did that start? Were you always creative? Were you always into music and that kind of stuff growing up? What was your earliest memory of being creative?
Yeah. So I'm a very big hip hop fan.
Oh, okay.
So I love hip hop. I love rap music. And
what sort of genre, what age? Like I'm showing my age, like Dr. Dre, Black Sheep, that sort of world. Where are you? That far back or?
Yeah. So Snoop Dogg,
okay.
Nas, Jay-Z. I'm very into the old school rap. It's not that I don't like the new rap today, but I think the old school rap, there was a lot more lyrics.
Yeah.
So Wu-Tang Clan, really appreciate the arts. And I actually was into rap myself to the point I actually did rap as well.
Oh, okay.
And we had a group called Skin Tea Entertainment, where we were basically taking more of a different approach of how rap was. So we were more smiley. And skin tea is kind of a thing which in Caribbean culture is what you say on, like, if you skin tea, you smile. Okay. So we kind of took an approach of where we wanted to be more entertaining, be a bit more less angry, aggressive, if that makes sense. Because at the time, rap music was a bit more aggressive. So we kind of wanted to be a bit more happier and so forth. That's where my creativity came from, of just being into music. Really loved music, really loved lyrics. Breaking down words, putting it into like phrases and so forth. And then moving forward, it was more getting into the angle of how to advertise it. And in music, which was funny, it was that when you start to see how people like Jay-Z advertised his CDs back then to build Rockefeller and so on, I started to realize that you could still have that same idea of music, but apply it into marketing and advertising. Yeah. And that's kind of what led me to continually know more about it, product design, any form of design, video editing and so on, and just be able to apply those things into a place where you can help other people at the same time. So, because
one of the things that really got me into rap music, and I'm showing my age, so age is probably the age of Dr. Dre. No, I'm not at all. But there was the music video. So we had a thing called The Box. Now you wouldn't, or do you know what that was? Yeah. So The Box existed where you literally phone up and choose the video that you wanted to watch.
Yes.
Whereas, let's say it was MTV, where it's like prescribed. It was a program. What you see is what you get.
Yeah.
There wasn't so many MTV channels.
Yeah.
But what I liked about it was that the videos were so much more creative.
Yes.
And if you understood the different nuances between the East Coast and the West Coast and the politics and the situations, they were like just funny videos.
Yeah.
They were just, they'd all kind of interlink.
Yes.
And you know, there was always this, one had a beef with somebody else, so they would get someone dressed up that looked like him, and then they have him running through the streets, and then it's just funny, crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But I just thought the level of creativity back then was different from what you would normally see with these mean, moody people with electric guitars and looking down the camera. They were just more of a story.
Yeah.
And then obviously you got into the beats and all the other stuff behind it. But from a creative perspective, that I remember growing up, that it was always fun, and even to the point that it started to influence other aspects. So like the Beastie Boys, and then the Beastie Boys had done Sabotage. We're all dressed in like 70s cop show outfits and crazy stuff like that. But it did influence the whole way music videos and that were made, more so than it sort of started with MTV and Dire Straits, very blue collar, white collar type music, to all of a sudden sort of like opened up into this creativity that, oh my gosh, this is another realm where you can be really creative in a short period of time to tell a story. Yes. And I got hooked into that area of music videos. I loved it. I love watching them all now. I don't so much watch music videos now because they're all pretty much the same and not too creative, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I agree on that. One of my favorite artists is Busta Rhymes. And Busta Rhymes always had these creative videos that were so out there, and he was quite an animated person. And when you see someone who does these type of things, they immediately grab your attention. Yeah. And that's what that's what we liked so much back then. We were like, how could we come up with different angles that not everyone else is doing? Because everyone might be saying something, but they might not be displaying that. They might not be showing how they could actually be more creative. And that kind of took us in that direction. Yeah,
because I remember there was a video by the Fast Side called Drop, and it was basically, the whole video was filmed backwards.
Yeah.
So everything was backwards, but then played forwards, which is just like crazy. And I remember seeing it going, wow, there's a level of creativity that you just didn't see in other videos that were out there. Yeah. It was more like helicopter sweeps and just cameras with moody people, whereas this was like they were just pushing the boundaries of trying different things. Yeah. It was. I don't think it. Maybe if it hadn't been for those music videos, I wouldn't have got into it so much. But we got into it because there was this degree of humour, innovation, and then obviously we got into the music behind the back of it. But LL Cool J, Naughty by Nature. I mean, there's loads. But it was that era that was defining. Funny enough, my son started listening to some of that old stuff. And he's already come out and said, "Oh, I prefer the old stuff." Okay, so you obviously got creative. You're in this industry, or you've got the idea that you want to be more creative or whatever. So, how did you transition into sort of I want to start an agency and go down that route? How did you make that transition?
Yeah, great question. So myself and my partner, Deanna, of course, we decided to kind of put together our ideas of sales, Deanna being predominantly more sales, myself more marketing, together. And we did it as almost like a partnership of bundling our skills for people to understand what we do. We decided to go into an agency because we felt there are a lot of businesses out there who do need creatives. Yeah. And often at times when it comes to the business world, they may not have that eye that you might see. Yeah. So they might see it from a linear approach, rather than more of like a kind of out there approach where you can see a different angle that might help them stand out. So we started with our first client, who is a chiropractor. We then led a bit more into our purpose, our approach of what we wanted. And then we started to speak more to purpose-driven businesses, which at the start, we weren't too entirely sure what that meant. Yeah. Until we started, connecting with people like yourself, connecting with other people who were more focused on higher missions. Yeah. And now that we start to have more of that conversation, we're having more conversation now with startups who are very big in innovation, very big in social impacts. We're now working with an NGO in the Gambia which is incredible. So it's like we're now starting to think on how we can still work with people, but still do something that actually makes a difference.
Yeah. So behind what you do is this element of making an impact, not just directly impact from the services you offer, but going beyond that.
Yes.
Yeah. 100%. So you've got this business, you're obviously impacting companies in the norm, and then you come up with this new name.
Yeah.
How did that come about? Was that like a 3 o'clock in the morning, wake up and go, oh, I know what it is? Or was it just people kept talking to you? How did it come about?
Yeah. It was kind of like that. We were like, so me and Deanna, like, at times we just kind of go in our brainstorming mode where we just start just putting everything on the page, and we were just trying to decipher where can we still use creative in the name, and connect it with something that's close to what we do already.
Yeah.
And that was the difficulty at the start because we wasn't too sure how we could do that. And as we started to decipher more of what we do, and mentioned before about Deanna being a dancer, it started to make more sense of how moves came into it. We kind of want to make sure that if anyone who does work with us knows that we're thinking of those moves.
Yeah.
So connecting the two words together, Creativ Moves, that's kind of how we stuck with it. And to be honest with you, we kind of like it a lot more now than what we originally started. So it goes to show the growth has definitely been, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that leans, having hearing it for the first time, because it's new for me, it leans itself to creating a lot more frameworks, showing people the moves. So, that necessarily means that you've got plenty of moves in your repertoire that you can apply it to various different situations. I could go away on a whole branding journey on that score. Yeah. But yeah, it just means, like you could show people, well, these are the principles, so these are the moves we're going to teach you to make, and therefore let's make them. So it definitely, I like it. I think it's really cool. I think it's a lot more in the space of being able to show people how to do stuff, because that's what you do anyway, or Deanna does it. Yeah. Is show people how to dance and then do those moves. I think it was a few weeks ago now, you had the whole of our humans crew dancing, and even my son was dancing, doing some moves. But the point of it is that I think you can impact people with that, because there's a degree of instruction. Yes. There's a degree of modeling, and there's a degree of, okay, off you go. So I think, I like it. It's really cool.
Thank you.
So is there a new website and all that sort of stuff coming out?
Yes, there is. Okay. So it's been exciting because I think everything's kind of worked in the right timing of us doing the podcast and so on. And we're going to be launching the website very soon. Can't say yet.
Okay. What would be the address be, or can't you tell us that yet? Bearing in mind this might not be coming out for a while.
Yeah. It's hard to say. Like we want to, basically going back to what we're saying about the client that we had originally to where we are now, we want to make sure that when we relaunch that we're speaking to the right audience. So that's the main part that we're focusing on. We're probably going to say around the end of May would be the actual time when we start sharing things. Maybe sooner, who knows? But yeah, we're looking to definitely launch around this time.
Yeah, so May 24, by then the podcast would be out. So in and around that time, maybe a bit after. But what we do is we'll pop the address and all the details at the end. So if you are wanting to get in touch with these guys, you'll actually see it at the end of the podcast. So, that's fine. It's for me, I like the sound of it. I'm quite excited to see how it all unpacks itself and where it goes. But added to that complexity, you are now moving.
Yes.
To another country.
Yes.
So do you want to tell us where and why?
Yes. So we're moving to Toulouse, France. And the reasons for why we're going purely is just we love the city. We were there for 5 weeks. We just kind of enjoyed the environment. We just felt like it was quite creative for us. And environment, as you know already, is so important for creative people. You need to be in a place where you feel like you can tap into new ideas. And whilst we were there, we just felt like it was doing that. So yeah, we just decided. It was funny because we were like deciding between different countries at the time. We're picking between, is it Portugal or, but we just felt like France, and particularly Toulouse just turned out to be the place we decided.
Awesome. And so when is that? When you looking to go?
Yes. End of the month. There's been
quick.
Yeah, there's been a lot of visa difficulties, as it all happens.
Yeah.
But the end of the month is where we're making the move.
So that is going to be end of May or end of April? End of May. Yeah.
End of May. Yeah. So it's actually around my birthday as well. So my birthday is on May 28th. So there's probably more set in stone in that way.
Yeah, no, that's great. Because I mean, I remember having a conversation with you about a year ago, and we were talking about dates and timings, and so you're pretty much on target, aren't you?
Yeah. So I might as well say it. So there was it was funny because we were speaking about Lupin.
Yes,
Lupin, and
show on Netflix for those that don't know.
Yeah, and being able to set a goal, and I think after our conversation with you was helpful because we had an idea, but we didn't have a goal of when we're going to go. So
you didn't put it in stone, did you?
Yeah. So setting that goal was definitely helpful because now we're actually now putting, our words into existence.
Yeah.
So couldn't be more grateful for that.
No, brilliant. So you're going to move to France. You're going to, with a new name.
Yes.
And, so what's the future look like? What if money was no object and success is absolutely guaranteed, what does it look like?
Yeah. I think just peace. Like, we traveled to the Caribbean for 10 months, and we came back as chilled as ever. We were just in a place in our own world, and it was just taking that energy back home. It made us realize that how much you want that peace, you want that quietness, that silence. And I think for me, if I knew I could still do what I was doing creatively, connecting with other people, collaborators and so forth, and have that silence in my mind, I think that would be, I can't really put a price on that, on how much that would be beneficial.
That's interesting, because a lot of people, when they get asked, we've got an agency with 50 people turning over X amount of million, whatever, and you've come up with peace.
Yeah. If I'm honest, I don't have any ambitions to be like a billionaire or anything like that. Of course,
millionaire maybe.
Yeah, millionaire. Yeah, I would say millionaire. Yeah. But in terms of just like, peace over profit, I'm very big on that. I think I would prefer to be at a place where we were at, a company was valuated in the millions, of course. But if we knew that we could save that additional headache around certain things, 100% I'll take.
Yeah, it's the statement was once said that if it costs you your piece, it's too expensive.
Yeah,
and I think that's something to remember as you're building.
That
if you can keep that piece whilst being successful, those two things are priceless.
Yeah,
in a sense. And I think for you as an individual and for Deanna, it's like building with that vision to start off with. I think that's really cool. I like that. I like that as a vision and as a goal. It's good.
Yeah,
not a lot of people talk about that, so I like that. That's really cool.
I think we're kind of wise for our age, maybe, because we spend a lot of time with like people who've seen a lot. Yeah. So then you kind of emulate what they've done. And our cousin, my cousin in Barbuda, in the Caribbean, very very out there person who's had literally had everything.
Yeah.
And is living in a container and in the middle of the bush is what he calls it,
right?
And most happiest person in the world. And when you see those type of things, you kind of take it back home and go, what is the value of that? And when you connect it back to certain ideas of what he has said, it's not necessarily that he doesn't want certain things or has certain things, it's just that silence to know that, okay, I can relax. And I think I'm very big on that. I'm very big on being able to know that, that's always in the back of my mind.
Yeah, so what you've done is you construction life where peace is the priority. I like that. That's really cool. So how did you and Deanna meet?
Yeah, good question. So we met at Salsa.
Okay.
So very, very interesting because Diana wasn't into salsa, but she went. I was, yes.
All right. Okay.
So Diana met me through a friend who was in salsa. She loves Caribbean dance moves and so on. And we met through salsa. It was funny because she didn't want to be as led as much by me from doing salsa and so on because she her own independent on how she likes to do stuff. But we connected a lot through that. We enjoyed doing more salsa dancing together. And then we found out that there was more things outside of salsa that we enjoyed, which was adventure, which was creativity. And it was amazing actually because it helped us to realize that you kind of meet your soul partner at that point then, where you meet that person who's just the other side to you, that yin and yang. And that's how we kind of connected. So we've gone, we're 5 years in, we've traveled the Caribbean, we're now moving to France, we're running a business together. So it's pretty beautiful.
There's only a few things left you need to do, right?
So there is a few things a few things I need to do, but we're getting there, and it's beautiful.
Yeah. So I laugh because when me and Claire met, we did do salsa for a little while. I don't think I was that good at it, to be honest, but somehow salsa kept us together. So we're still here now. So I mean, from your perspective, you've obviously got you've got the sort of like the end game and the future,
yes,
and then you've got all this pressure to pack up and move. And what are you going to miss most about Bristol?
It's interesting. I never even thought of it like that. Maybe it is just family, I guess. You know, I think just knowing you're from a city that's you're used to.
Yeah.
I think when I think of Bristol, I always know that it's home. So I'm always going to come back and I see my family. But I think maybe it's just that the constant understanding that this is what it is, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to even answer it. Actually, the more I think about it.
Probably when you reflect. I think often when you move and you sat there and you reflect back. But I think to some extent you might not look back for a while because there's so much happening in the immediacy that is exciting. Your new name of company, new city, new opportunities, new language. How's that going?
It's going well. Well. I can only say a few phrases. So, if I was to say, what do you do? Qu'est-ce que tu fais dans la vie? I've literally practiced that down to the point.
So, for this podcast?
Maybe. Yeah. So hopefully, if anyone's watching, they might say, I need to work on it. But
well, my wife's an English. My wife is a French teacher, so she'll tell you afterwards.
So I'll make sure that it's all fine. But the French is going well. I think as I think about it now with Bristol, I believe that like I always wanted to be someone of just sort of just constantly growing. Yeah. And I feel like it's not that I want to move to another city because I dislike Bristol or anything like that. I think it's more just like there's so much more you can get outside of Bristol that you can probably put back into Bristol if you need to. And knowing that your family, your home's still here, you probably can spark more ideas by taking that step outside. I think as I think about it.
But I think for me, for everybody that's like within the humans community and obviously myself and people like that, it's just another link. It's another connection that we got, like myself and Claire. Claire's parents live in France part of the year. So, if we're driving down that way, who knows? Find out what you're up to.
Yes.
Put the kettle on.
More than welcome. Yeah,
we're just around the corner. But for me, it's an exciting move. I think there's a lot of excitement that you've got up ahead.
Yes.
And you're young enough to make these big moves and these big changes. And we wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us on the sofa. And we're going to hear the other half of the story.
Yes.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to the Purpose People podcast. How you can help us is to like and subscribe our YouTube channel. You can also subscribe to our podcasts on Apple, Spotify, Google, and Amazon. That helps us get our message out there to help people go after their dreams, double down on it, and be successful in life on their terms.